I want to talk about two things that I was thinking about today that I think our minds get wrong. One thing is that culture is not meant to be preserved any more than language is. So, and that's another thing we get wrong. We think that, well, anyway, I'll explain that. And then the other thing is the idea that, shit, I actually lost my train of thought. Hold on a second. Oh, productivity. All this content on social media about how to be more productive. I just think we're making absolute fools of ourselves. The world's pretty shit, actually. And a lot of the products that we're producing are pretty shit, actually. Our products, our like technology is really cool, some of them, but they greatly what am I trying to say? Surpass it's a lot farther ahead than our understanding of ourselves and of life. Okay, so I'm going to talk about why productivity, we're making fools of ourselves in the eyes of more intelligent life, and then also the culture thing. So there's this idea that is just taken for granted that cultures are to be preserved. This came about because I was watching, Takashi from Japan. He does these street interviews in Japan where he talks to foreigners about their experiences in Japan.
Okay, so how long have you been in Japan?
I've been in Japan since 2007, so 16 years about, man.
How has Japan changed from 2007 to 2023?
There were less foreigners back then. Now, dude, I live in, Tokyo. Sometimes I see more foreigners than Japanese people, you know?
Do you think it's a good thing for Japan, having a lot of foreigners?
I think it's horrible because I don't stand out anymore. No, I'm just joking. It's not bad, but the thing is, if you stay here, I really feel like you have to learn Japanese and understand the culture.
Which you did?
Which I did, and I would push everybody else to do the same. But, Japan has a birth decline, and there's going to be big problems in the future. So they're going to either have to bring in foreigners, but that's going to mess up some of the culture of Japan. You can't not change the culture when more foreigners come, but I don't know how they're going to deal with that. I'm not against foreigners or anything like that. I'm just saying it's going to change.
Okay, so I'm assuming you just watched the video, actually. So the guy says, right, about foreigners adapting to the culture in Japan, how important it is. And then, as you see in this comment, outdoor with the boys, which we can't help but imagine what kind of what his political views are. Unfortunately, because saying outdoor with the boys, that's enough. Unfortunately, it's so stupid. But anyway, so he says he agrees with him completely. I say, right, but probably not the part about not disliking foreigners. And someone responds to me. They say this. Okay, this idea of this about and he takes for granted as a premise of what he's saying. It is cultures should not be destroyed, and destroyed we can maybe substitute like changed, or that they become archaic, or that they become history, that they are no longer, that we don't maintain a certain culture. Just taking for granted that not maintaining a culture is a bad thing. And if you take a step back from your lifetime, you realize how fucking stupid that is. Like the US, let's say, did not have on any level the same culture 100 years ago. Okay, technology changes, which changes the way that people interact, which changes culture, which are our values, expectations of others' behavior, our own practices, our own behavior. So those tendencies are going to change as laws change, as governments change, as technology develops. Culture is meant to be descriptive. Here is what this group of people are doing in these conditions with these sort of ideas. There is a 20th century culture. There is a 1910s culture. There's a 1920s American culture, right? So it's specific to a time, a place, probably a class. And yet, every brain that's born into this world, basically, here's what we evolved to do. As we're children, wide-eyed. So what's the culture? What do we do? What are the norms? What are the mores? What plants heal? What blah, blah, blah. Okay, then we reach adolescence. Brain starts to change. New voices start to deliver. We're producing behavior like, hey, I want to try something else. I want to try something else. I want to go discover something. I want to blah, blah, blah. Okay. During that adolescent period, there's a clash between the adolescent and his elders, where he is novelty seeking, thrill seeking, open to change, and his elders are saying no. So then what happened was, we have sort of an equilibrium that made us the great species that we are. this equilibrium where the adolescents or the 20s, people in their 20s, they discover things, but they don't go too far with it. They're regulated a little bit by the force of the elders saying, don't change anything, right? So the adolescents, I want to burn down everything, change everything. Elders like, don't fucking touch anything. And so then hopefully what comes out of that are just the best things. And we're the descendants of people who kind of found that equilibrium, and what came out of that were pretty good things. Although, as I said, the world's pretty shit. And then you get out of your 20s and you're around 26, prefrontal cortex, which is inhibition, which is prioritizing, being a proper adult. That has now sort of finished developing, and you're in your 30s, and now I'm an adult, where I am going to now maintain this culture. Of course, there were a lot of differences when throughout most of the existence of the species. For instance, as young as 12, you are starting to sort of do adult things. And that's actually really amazing, because now you've got these new adults, proper adults. They're not locked away in school without any say. They don't have the right to vote or anything. You've got these proper adults that their mind is continuing to develop, and they're this novelty seeking. Wow, I didn't realize that. So it probably worked a lot better in the past when we had younger people going out and doing their thing. Because right now, we've got all these young people that have all this energy, want to try things, want to change things, can't even fucking vote. So actually, that's a really crucial, I'm sorry, I'm just realizing this. Adolescence in the 20s are this really crucial time where you're supposed to be having these people in industry who are learning, their brain is continuing to develop, who want to try new things, and who have spent their childhood learning the old ways. I was talking to my dad the other day. Somebody I had interviewed said that children see the world as it is. That's bullshit, stupid. When I said that, and I guess maybe I'll end up explaining, maybe this is a longer video than I expected, but maybe I'll explain why I said that. But my dad didn't like that, and he responded, well, no, youth does come with an important perspective. We see that, for instance, mathematicians are going to hit the height of their career in their mid to late 20s, right? So I maintain that it's bullshit that children see the world as it is. But in our 20s and even in our adolescence, this is an untapped demographic, if you will. We're having them spend so much time learning the old ways, right? And if you really want to learn the old ways, you don't finish learning the old ways until you're like 27, right? Or 26 or something. You finish your PhD. And then that's when you go start being an actual proper member of industry. That's crazy. All right. So we've got our whole life schedule thing all wrong, I think, because it doesn't match the development of the human brain, the development of the brain. Okay. All right, so that's cool. Anyway, let's go back to so the culture thing. So culture, I just want to make sure. Well, no, if more stuff comes to me about that stuff, then anyway. So culture is meant to be a description of the tendencies of a group of people. Those tendencies are going to depend on resources, environmental pressures, pieces of knowledge, whatever, and technology. Okay, so culture changes. Okay. Unfortunately, just go back to the age thing, what happens is the way the human brain develops is that people think that whatever they've learned is the thing to maintain, especially once they get into their 40s, right? Because that's the role they have to play in the evolution of their society. They have to make sure that the young people don't take it too far. And I think this has spread to young people as well, because if you're on the right, maybe, then you learn, okay, this is what we believe. Tradition is good. So and this kind of explains why when I imagine a young person on the left and a young person on the right, I imagine the young person on the right being much more, maybe even wearing like a tie. I mean, I know I'm going a little bit far, but I'm talking about wealthy people on the right. He's has his hair cut properly. He has this traditional thing already. He kind of skips the whole rebellious thing, because that's fucking liberals. Liberals rebel. Conservatives conserve. Okay. So now you've got these stupid high school Republican club, whatever. And I'm picturing them from my high school. I see them. They've got their hair always cut short, super strict on values. No, whatever this. I mean, they'll get super drunk, but so anyway, that's throwback. Right. And so now you've got people in high school who are buying into this bullshit, playing the role of the elders, saying, oh yeah, culture must be preserved. Whatever we're doing now is what we have to be doing for the rest of my life and for my children's lives. Do I have to... I mean, can't just quoting that be enough for you to just go, that's crazy? So that's one thing we've gotten wrong. Yeah, culture's going to fucking change. We feel a resistance to it. That's natural. That's how we evolved. Hopefully knowing that means we can avoid further endorsing that, continue to lie to ourselves, let the other logical voices in our mind engage with that and shut that down. Okay? It's okay to have an instinct to preserve the culture. That's how we evolve. That's supposed to be a part of the brain. But listen, shit's changing really quickly. The culture needs to keep up. So we're going to have to rewire a little bit. And other mechanisms in our mind can rewire that mechanism. If we agree that's a bad mechanism. Okay. All right. So we're going to be quick about the productivity thing because too many ideas. What we've done is it's great that we evolved with the mechanism, the instinct, the whatever, to be ambitious, to produce. Okay, now it's gotten to like a cult-like, ridiculous, absurd level where our lives are about producing so that we can then afford a place to keep our bed. Social media is, well, okay, listen, culture evolves. So maybe I shouldn't say social media is supposed to be a certain thing. It is what I was going to say. I enjoy social media for relaxing and entertainment. That's all I'll say. And I think it's so crazy, all this talk about productivity on fucking when you're on social media, just scrolling, looking at your phone. It's like, how can I produce more, make more, have a bigger bed, have a bigger space for my bed, separate myself more from the community? I haven't seen, what are the benefits of it? The iPhone's pretty cool. Skyscrapers look kind of nice. Medicine is pretty dope, definitely. All this video editing software that I need. YouTube, that's pretty cool. There's all this stuff that I mentioned. There's a lot of negative stuff too. And there's a lot of really scary stuff that kind of negative. I'm thinking of certain weapons, right? Or any weapons at all, maybe. I think that the society would be a lot better if people weren't trying to be productive all the time. We're more responsive to needs. It's cool, the ambitious and the innovation and stuff. So I want to keep a part of that. But let's tone it down a little bit to be a little bit more responsive to our needs rather than just chasing, the unobtainable, which is more, right? By definition, unobtainable, right? Because you can't have more because what more is more than what you have. Okay. I just think the world would be a lot better place if we took some more time with our thoughts, if we let the mechanisms in our mind interact more with each other, because maybe that's why, maybe we were a lot more even intelligent before because we didn't need to marry ourselves to our first idea, act on it, produce, and pay the fucking rent. We could sit around the fire literally every night in silence with the mechanisms just interacting amongst themselves, not telling other people why one of our mechanisms is true and then ignoring all the other ones that should be responding to that. And there was just a lot more proper sort of discussion, and there was less fucking urgency. I need to convince these people because Jesus is coming. I need to convince these people because of there's always a presidential election coming up, and that if it's not the right president, it will be the end of the world. So when do we ever get the chance to just let the mechanisms interact, and then just interact? Of course, we always need to convince people because it's always a fucking emergency. For me, it was always an emergency. If this person walks away from this conversation thinking that gay marriage is a problem, oh no, that's going to maintain all this, because it was during the Bush elections back in 2003, and oh no, then he's gonna vote for. Well, his parents are gonna vote for Bush. He's not gonna go home and convince his parents. I don't bloody know. It's so urgent. It's good when ideas take generations to develop, actually, isn't it? Okay, but we don't have to tone it down that much, but we just need to chill out. The brain cannot keep up. I mean, it will pretend it can, right? Because that's what's so amazing about Homo sapiens. We have a judgment, we can act quickly, blah, 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 right? And that's great in a dangerous situation. A lot of the situations that are supposed to be so dangerous aren't that dangerous. And the one that's super dangerous is the one that people just won't believe. Oh. All right, we need more interaction. We need to feel like we have more time. Our brain needs to believe that we have the time for system 1 and system 2 to be talking. Because so long as we are stressed, constantly trying to produce, decide, behave, know, express, convince, whatever, so long as we have to do that, well, the brain's going to say, okay, I'll just, I'll cut back a little bit. We'll just run these. And that's what happens. And we didn't evolve to make good decisions when we constantly need to make good, high stakes decisions. Wow. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. I hope I answered everything that I mean, what I want. Well, no, that's impossible. Bye.